Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Education Smeducation, the podcast where I might be teacher soon. Wow, what a start. What a great start. As I was telling Ken and our guest earlier, it's my 5-year anniversary with my old lady. I call her that because she's 94, Ken. That's straight from my act. I apologize. We rented an igloo at a bar called Whiskey Business last night, and I got very drunk for the first time in a long time. And so I've been a little hungover today, but I'm feeling all right. I kicked out, as they say in wrestling parlance. One of the things I did get for my lovely girlfriend was a cameo. I got her 2 cameos. One was from the great Nick Gage, who is a legendary deathmatch wrestler. He's very scary. And he said, "Mallory, happy anniversary. I love you. Murder, death, kill." It was great. And then the other one was this igloo thing. And we're getting a linea on Thursday. And then I got her another cameo from a gentleman from the show Cheer, where they do cheerleading show. One of those gentlemen, he does like a flip or something. I'm very excited to see it once it comes in. Anyway, how's it going, Ken? What's up, buddy?
It's good. I love the idea of having some aggressive man yell at your girlfriend for anniversary gift. That's pretty interesting.
Well, I mean, I got a Groupon, so it was buy one get one half off, and I thought, you know what, this one's for the boys. This second one is for the boys.
This is really for me, but I'm gonna put your name in it.
Yeah. And the turnaround was so quick too. Like Nick Gage is just sitting around, like looking at his email, like, when am I gonna get another cameo? I need another cameo. Let's do this. Anyway, speaking of wrestling, our guest today, boy oh boy, a favorite. A baby face's baby face, as they'd say in wrestling parlance. She has a podcast with her partner and friend of the show, Marty DeRosa. She was in I would say one of the best comedy bands in the history of music.
Wow, thank you.
The Shockeys. Sarah Shockey's here. Hey, buddy.
Thanks for having me on the show. 'Tis I.
You just
I'm already getting copyright infringement.
Right back into.
It's a crossover of a lifetime.
Now I know you went to school, Sarah, but did Brad the Alien go to school?
Brad the Alien's school is Brad the Alien's church, which is the world around us.
He is.
And you invoked Brad the Alien and my light went out. So like, I don't know what that means. I don't love it. He's
a real rascal, that Brad the Alien. If you haven't listened to Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling, it's about wrestling, but it's more about love and loving things.
And like the love of wrestling and then the greater world, you know?
Yeah, I would agree.
It's everything. Yeah. Hey, Marty just turned the light back on for me. Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Mike says thanks. Marty.
Hey, buddy. Oh, that's gonna get some clicks.
There we go. Get that OnlyFans pumping.
Yeah, that's why we got the ring light. We had one person emailed us once and asked if we did custom wrestling, and I took it as such a compliment that somebody wanted to see us, roll around with each other. I was like, we're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a segment out there on the internet. People enjoy that.
Yeah. It's starting to sneak into other things on the internet, and I don't know if I enjoy that. I don't want the peanut butter and the chocolate to go together. I would like the peanut butter over here and the chocolate over there. But Shockey, you lived in Michigan, where I am from, for a little bit.
Yeah, I segmented up my childhood with the most exciting states, Pennsylvania, Indiana, and Michigan. Oh, and I gotta say, Michigan was where I think I associate the most with home, other than Chicago, which I've been here now for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm at 8th. I'm at 8th. And this is my home now.
I love Chicago. I would be here forever. I say to Marty, I always want a place in Chicago.
Yeah, it's my kind of town.
Yeah, I go to the lake almost every single day. It's like my best friend outside the house during quarantine is just go stare at the lake.
Are you like, what do you do at the lake? You literally just stare? You thinking? You contemplative?
Talk to the lake.
I have all sorts of things. Marty got me a camera for Christmas, so I'm taking pictures. I like to go out with my AirPods in and listen to songs that remind me of books I would like to write, and then jot ideas down in a little notepad. And then it takes like the next 7 years to put those notes into Google Docs that may one day turn into a story. So I'm such an artist.
So you listen to songs that remind you of the books that you'd like to write?
Yeah. Like, oh, it's so fun to collect songs to be like, which characters that I made up could potentially relate to this song? And then there'll be a playlist for each book idea. And so you can like listen through, and then it's basically like a tool for imagination. And then when you're an adult, you're like, oh, well, I'm a writer. I'm not just living in a pretend world. That's crazy. I'm going to share it with you eventually.
When I get the time,
hang out in it for a while.
I will put finger to keyboard and make this into art. But in the meantime, I'm going to have a nice time with my head movies.
J.K. Rowling put away Harry Potter for 8 years because she was, quote unquote, convinced it was rubbish. So, everybody's on their own schedule.
Well, J.K. Rowling's never done anything wrong, so everyone is on their own schedule. She's a perfect.
Oh, it's all just let's be good to each other.
Yeah. I will tell you this, Mal, my girlfriend Mallory is, she will watch any Harry Potter movie anytime it's on cable. And I will say things like, did you know that these are all on HBO Max? And then she will say, you don't get it.
It's a different experience. It's like it's like sitting in the back seat of a car and letting someone else drive versus you're driving. Like sometimes it's better to just let them take you through the advertisement small towns, get you back on the highway of censored Harry Potter.
I'll take your word for it. But like she'll find an episode of The Office on Comedy Central, and I'm like, I paid for Peacock. Money. Actual money. And you refuse. I don't. And she's like, no, but I just want it on. I was like,
yeah, you don't want to choose. Like if somebody goes, what is this? You don't have any responsibility. It's just on, as opposed to I clicked the 4 buttons to put on this specific episode. I totally get it. She's right.
I just want to know who the random person is that's asking who put this on when it's just you two in the house.
Yeah, we're not in an airport terminal.
I think
this isn't the TV room at a jail.
Everybody's afraid that they're going to have to print out their progress report at the end of the day and be like, this is what I did in my weird quarantine life. And it was right because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, these are my choices.
Yeah. I mean, I totally understand, like, looking at the day's events and saying, oh, I didn't do a good day today. As I say, 3 months into trying to write a pilot, which I'm sure everyone's doing right now. But the amount of time I've opened up my computer and then had Final Draft on one screen, and then just an endless loop of YouTube videos of Irish people trying different American products. I'm addicted to it. I love it. They're just like, they're drinking Four Loko and they're like, oh, this is lovely. I love Four Loko. It's got a nice kick.
I feel like Irish older men have such witty things to say. And I say that as someone who went to Ireland when I was a freshman in college, and I just got dunked on everywhere I went by old Irish men. And it was the most charming experience of my life. They were always right. And it was always funny.
Yeah. Do you remember any of these classic dunks?
No, because a lot of times you'd know that they landed something so clever, but also it was with such an accent And then you feel like an idiot being like, wait, what did you say? I didn't hear you. I want to remember it from my trip journal. Like, it was just like, I just remember getting dunked on everywhere I went.
I mean, just the way, and it really does cut you to the core. It's like when a little kid notices something about you that you are incredibly self-conscious about.
Yeah.
It's like
my little nephew pointed out the carpet that our cat scratches up, and now we're like, we got to recarpet the whole apartment that we're renting because he's right. Like, it's gross. And he's 4 when he said that.
Yeah, he's like, Auntie and Uncle don't keep a nice place, Mommy.
They don't. They're kind of messy.
Auntie and Uncle are trying. So there's kind of a thing in the family. Marty and I aren't married, and everybody would like us to be, but we would like to, maybe have a wedding on our own terms when it's like a time that feels really fun and right, and this and that and the other thing.
Listen,
but
as a guy who's been dating someone for 5 years, and one of those in quarantine, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So my little nephew makes a point of telling Marty, like, you're not my real uncle, and calling him Funkle Marty. And recently, recently on Christmas morning, he had to go to the urgent care and get stitches because he'd been given a pocket knife for Christmas. He's too little to have a pocket knife. And he had 2 freaking zingers. They got him on the operating table, and they said, the doctor's like, hey, what did you need a pocket knife for anyway? My little nephew, he's one of those kids who's like 1,000 years old. He just goes, nothing anymore. And then my brother was explaining what happened. He goes, he wanted to show his uncle his pocket knife. And on the operating table, James goes, fake uncle.
That's a fake uncle.
He's so funny. But yeah, he noticed the carpet, and it like cut me right to the core, where you're like, he's right, and I should have it more together for my tiny nephew.
Like my mom does the same thing too, where the one time my mom's been to our apartment, she just goes, do you ever think about redoing the floors? And I was like, well, now that's all I'm gonna think of.
So easy too. That's like such an easy tweak, like hang a picture, wipe the fridge down, redo your floors.
Yes, I would like to spend $6,000 on my anxiety. That sounds great.
And put everything in a different location for a while.
Yeah. It's like, if we redo the floors, we have to live with you for a month, right? Also, Mal's brother has 2 amazing, fantastic daughters. One's 2.5 and one's 1. And everyone in the family will call me Uncle Mike around them, except for the parents. And it's like the low-keyest dig, and I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, we had on Thanksgiving Zoom this year, my uncle very abruptly said, just so you know, your brother does weddings, and then left the call like as he was leaving. It was like the most fell swoop. And then the rest of the family were all like left staring at each other, and I know that they're like into that idea too. And it's like, well, I guess we just laugh our way forward. Like, I would love to have a wedding where people aren't worried that they'd have to, accidentally kill somebody. Like, I don't know. I'm just excited for a party again. Give me 5 years. I'm going to just love it all the same.
It's the same thing where I'm like, well, I'm not going to teach grandma how to use Zoom for our engagement party. Like, that's not,
it's not in the cards.
It's not in the cards. That's like an alternate universe that I'm not going to participate in. We'll just wait. It'll all be fine.
I'm such a fan of patience, and I don't know if as many people are as me, and I just got to keep preaching it anyway.
You'd have to. This is all we have in these trying times, these unprecedented times.
Yes, love patience. It.
So unprecedented.
I don't know. I think it's like a fun game, right? Like, who's gonna get it? Like, that's like a party game.
Oh, the COVID.
I heard about a party over the summer that one of my friends didn't go to but heard all about, and it was like the most cursed party. Like, not only did multiple people get COVID, but all the decorations blew away. The steaks from the caterers went up in flames, and they were just little bacon-sized little, like, it was like a SpongeBob cartoon where it was like the whole gods of the heavens were like, you shouldn't have tried this party.
It's like, you should have known better. I have to do this.
Yeah, like just like pointing a finger at the balloons, and they all just like go into the power lines.
Yeah. That's some very Old Testament God level wrath.
Sure.
Yeah, that was like June, I want to say. So much has happened.
Yeah, that was, and by June you mean 12 years ago, of course.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
So speaking of the Lord and God, you grew up pretty Christian, correct?
I would say evangelically, yes. But then we kind of hopped around. So I got like a lot of Midwestern cities and a lot of different churches. We went to an Episcopalian church for a little while, lots of kind of new age Christian churches, go to the big concerts, what everybody's doing. Little churches and, like with kind of that mall vibe franchise, like we hit them all.
So I was fascinated to find out that there are churches in malls, and you've been to church in a mall.
Yeah, I feel like I have, but it wasn't as popular as it was like now. It's so easy to get mall space because the malls aren't as popular. So like when I was really hitting church was like the 90s. And so we would go to like Oak Brook in Chicago. It's like this giant church, and it was such a big deal when we went. And I remember like the hallways of youth groups where it'd be like fourth graders this way, second graders this way. Like it was like being in Michigan Avenue, but within a church. And I was just like, man, Chicago's wild. But yeah, I've been to all of them.
Well, rank them.
Rank them. I loved
your churches.
I loved Liberty Church in East Lansing because I felt like
that's
youth
still
group,
there.
I was actually friends with them. Yeah, that's still there.
Yeah.
One of the pastor at the time was one of my Michigan State professors, so that was kind of exciting.
That's cool.
Interesting.
And then I really liked St. Andrew's Church in Kokomo, Indiana, because they let me be an acolyte and I got to wear the robe and hold the candle doohickey.
Whoa.
Yeah, that felt really special and old-timey.
That's when you started to love The Undertaker in pro wrestling. So you're like,
I didn't know it yet, but I could feel it. It would be 2 years later that I would discover The Rock in the famed cinematic masterpiece, The Scorpion King.
Oh my God. I remember seeing that movie with my dad. And
me too.
My dad, we were walking into the theater and my dad goes, "Did you like that?" And I went, "It was awesome." And my dad goes, "Well, good for you, I guess."
My dad took me and my fourth grade best friend, and the three of us just went and saw The Scorpion King together. And we were all like, okay, thumbs up.
That the other movie quote, me and my dad would go to the movies a ton. It's the perfect father-son activity. You don't have to look at each other. You don't have to talk to each other. That is,
it's so cozy.
It's very cozy. It's very cozy. Popcorn is fun. But we saw the movie Corky Romano, starring the great Chris Kattan and Peter Falk and Peter Berg, the guy who made Friday Night Lights, and Sean Penn's long departed brother. And we walked out of the movie and I said, "That was so funny." And my dad said, "I didn't think it was that funny." And I went, "It was a little funny."
Don't discount all the laughs we had. We had some. We were optimistic, Pa.
Yeah. I mean, that white powder got on him and he got all crazy. Like, I didn't get what cocaine was, but I thought it was funny when he talked fast, So what you're moving around, you eventually land in East Lansing, Michigan, where I went to college, oddly enough. And
I too. I stayed. I was happy to be there. I was 7th grade through my senior semester of college, but then I had one more and I finished out in Chicago. That was like my move plan was like, well, I've got to use loans because otherwise I can't afford this. So I'll just save up my credits and scoot on down to Columbia.
Hell yeah. I think everyone at State just moves to Chicago. It's just what you do.
It feels good. It feels good for a lot of Michigan people to move to Chicago. State, University of Michigan, even further up north. It just feels good.
Yeah. Other schools
avoid staying. Yeah, like the other schools, is that like, do you have a contract with
Northwestern Michigan, Western Michigan,
Lake Superior State, Michigan Tech?
The P1 I always forget.
The P1. What's the P1
moment? AJ Styles documentary. I watched it today. It was there's documentaries are great, but then they make you watch the product and feel like it's very cognitively dissonant.
The WWE's documentary team, A+ all around. They're fantastic.
Yeah, so good.
They're so great. They really make you feel some stuff. I watched the Tiger Woods documentary today. Did you know that he is a fuck machine?
I mean, I picture that based on
he had a lot of mistresses. News. Yeah, there's a lot of mistresses, like a ton, like
14.
A boatload.
He had 14, and one of them was a Perkins waitress. He's like on TV, and he's like, you know what? I love banana cream pie. Yes. And I need a hookup for banana cream pie. Yeah. Anyway, so you went to high school in East Lansing, right?
Middle school, high school, college. Yeah.
What's and I know a little bit, but what's middle school, high school Sarah Shockey like? Are you listening to songs? Are you listening to songs and then writing about characters who like those? What are you doing? What are your creative outlets? What do you got going?
So moving from Indiana, my big creative outlet was the golf course in the subdivision we lived in. I used to just walk around and pretend on there like I was an island of the Blue Dolphins, or like I'm an archaeologist, like all that stuff. Okay. So there's this weird like move of leaving that all behind and being in Michigan and again starting over. So many new schools to where I like got good at like making, like kind of picking out who I would chase after to be friends with early on, and not being fooled by the popular girls who always pay attention to you for one day and then assess whether or not they want you in their group, and they never do. And then you have this awkward thing where you're like, we had lunch together, but like you don't know me all of a sudden. Anyways. Oh man,
that really, like, just hearing that made me feel very bummed out.
Yeah, it's like a tough, I don't know. And middle school was a tough time because my dad really wanted me to be a runner, and I really dislike running. And so I was recently got in my mind that I could play tennis, and tennis would knock cross country out of the picture. Yeah. And then if I did track, I could sneak my way over into pole vault and long jump and not have to run. So I was like this odd little like scrappy dappy like nerd planner where it was like I think I could have been a really good student, but I was very anxious, and I let my anxiety get the better of me in math and science, but I didn't in like social studies, history, writing. Like, so it's, it would be so fun to go back and just like knock everything out of the park, but that's why we go on learning journeys.
Exactly.
But yeah, I would say I was a little scrappy, anxious planner with a couple close friends that got along with everybody.
Great. I think a lot of people in comedy are way more of like, I got along with everyone than I was the class clown.
Although I did get voted funniest girl senior year, and I have to bring that up anytime that category is even remotely referenced.
Yeah. You have like the scrapbook. Like, this is me.
I have it under the bed in like a preserved bookmarked scrapbook book. Yeah, I'm not gonna be like cool about it. Like, I tossed it. It's like, no, it was important to me.
Yeah. So you're there on the first day of IO classes, and they're like, you're the only one who brought your yearbook. Why did you bring your yearbook?
So many times I would bring a new friend over to my house and then get out all the things that I had ever drawn and made and just like one by one made them look at it. It's like, that's not how you prove your worth to a new friend, but I thought it might be.
Oh man, what is that's, you can't hit him with all that on the first
I know,
one.
but nobody told me, now I look back and I'm like, oh, he should have chilled. Like, I think I thought in every new situation, I'd be like, this time I'm going to be popular because I want it bad enough. And the tough thing was my brother, when we moved to Michigan, made it happen for himself, where like he and I were dorks in Indiana. Then we moved and he suddenly like became cool. Like he figured it out and he like hacked the system. And I was still over there with like all my books being like, well, how do you start? And it's like, well, he kind of let go of a lot of like caring what other people thought, or like would pointedly like go after people that he thought were cool. And I was just stuck in this kind of like, well, I gotta follow the rules too.
Yeah. I distinctly remember being in maybe 8th grade, and there was this kid that all the girls liked. His name was Stephen Kiss. And
Good last name.
right?
Ooh.
Right? Ooh. Giving me the vapors, Stephen Kiss.
His name got written all over a lot of girls' notebooks.
I 100% did. But looking back, he did have a bowl cut for way too long. Like he had
well, he didn't have to change. It was working,
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you change?
Any post 9/11 bowl cut, I think, no good in retrospect.
Is that the time? That's what we're putting on that? That has to be before.
We were too innocent before then.
More than just those
you could
towers.
Just put a bowl on your head. After that, it's like we know more now, and we are using our scissors differently.
More than just those towers went down that day, you guys. But I remember asking him very like point blank, like, "Hey man, how do you get people to like you?"
And just the fact that you'd ask that question is like already knocks you out because like you care too much.
DOA,
you have it.
Just no good. But I feel like I was the same. I was the same way that you were, where someone would come over and it would just be like, let's do. I got all these things that I like to do. Let's obviously do them. We're going to pretend that we're the Detroit Lions and we're going to win the Super Bowl in the backyard. Here we go. Let's do all this.
Yep. I was very much the director. I would also make them do infomercials with me where we would like get out the family camera and like improvise and stuff. And I have some tapes of this stuff.
Whoa. Wait, what do you mean infomercials? Like you guys would be like, you would sell this iPad or whatever.
Yeah, the only thing that I understood comedically that you could definitely parody easily was infomercials and cooking shows. And I didn't really like cooking that much. So we would do a lot of, and then the infomercials could have commercials. Like I think to me, nothing was funnier than an SNL parody commercial. And that's like all I wanted to do. And that's all I did do for a while. And there's one or two that are like kind of funny still, but overall, there's not much in there. There's a lot of costumes.
I love it. When you say family video camera, did you guys have the one where you put the blank VHS tape in the camera? And it's like
my parents borrowed one of those. And we have this weird like mishmash of different cameras for like, now it's on DVD of like our family videos from like back in the day of like borrowing cameras until we finally got the one that we used had a mini JV cassette, so like slightly newer.
Okay, yeah, nice.
I used it so much it broke and my parents had to replace it.
Jeez, it's a lot of infomercials.
That's a lot of content.
Too many.
That's a lot.
But we were learning along the way. As soon as I got my braces off, I was like, all right, I know everyone's getting sick of these, but I just got my braces off, so it's time to film some commercials.
We got to get back in there. That we would do, and by we, I mean me, I would set up the video camera and I would pretend I was being interviewed after the big football game.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I just love those recurring. I would do like sexy dances with the pool cues in the basement after my dad got a pool table. And I was like, I'm never going to play pool, but I'd like try to choreograph like a lot of like stepping one leg over and dipping down dances.
That's got to be weird for a dad to find later.
It really has to.
Yeah, no, luckily I knew what to separate from my dad because you could hear someone come down the stairs, and then I'm just practicing my pool shots. I'm not doing a vaguely sexy dance that I'm sure looked in no way sexy at all.
That just, boy, oh boy. There's so many of these moments that I've remembered in quarantine where I just shiver in disgust at my former self. Or I'll just remember like some dumb thing I did when I was like 15 and I'll just go, okay. I just have to like take it in. It has to like go in through my entire body and it all has to just like, and then it's gone.
See, I have so much compassion for my former self, but I'm like on such a journey of like, oh, we sure like each other and we've made it this far and we can keep going. It's like I'm not poor Marty has to put up with so many moral speeches. I don't know where they come from, but this quarantine has made me very, I don't know, philosophical is the right word, but boy, I sure like to think about everything.
I think that's good though. You're examining your life. The unexamined life is not worth living. You gotta take these moral inventories every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm interested.
I think it's good, So you're in high school, you're a big old dork.
But here's the type of dork I was.
Yeah.
The teachers nominated me to be on the homecoming court, but I didn't make it through the round of student votes. That's
okay.
The Sarah Shockey story.
Yeah. I see.
I feel like that's the worst kind of dork.
I think I just always was like very aware that like the teachers are people too, and you might need to give them a little extra boost every now and again. And so teachers really liked me because I'd like check in on them.
What is that conversation like? If you're checking in with Mr.
Plow and I email, I would say twice a year, my favorite teacher from high school.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
That's the level of friendship I bring to select teachers.
I love it. And so these are English teachers or these are drama teachers? What kind of teachers?
So Mr. Plow was my physics teacher, but more importantly, he was my pole vault coach. And like I said earlier, I wanted to branch away from like doing the 2 mile and the 800. And I just started kind of like waffling on over to pole vault. And Mr. Plow was so welcoming and so nice. And, I wasn't a great pole vaulter, but I'm really glad I did it because it was so weird and interesting and like taught me to use my body in a completely different way than I ever had before. Yeah. And he's just one of those teachers where you just kind of want him to know that you're doing all right every now and again. Like I really felt like, he was just so important to me then and is still important to me now. And it's like cool when you can find that connection.
For sure. What like made that connection happen? Like what did you guys, is there like a moment where you remember going, oh, this is my guy?
My favorite thing about Mr. Plow was like he was such a deadpan, like serious, like not quite curmudgeon, but almost like the type of, science teacher that's just kind of like he had a big mustache so you couldn't really see his mouth. Okay. But then when you would say something funny, and my sense of humor is very like hoodly doodly. And so I would like say something like that in class and then you could see his like mustache kind of twitch or like you could see that he thought it was funny and he wouldn't do that for everybody. And it was like such a thing where I was like, oh my God, this guy thinks I'm funny. And I think his opinion is like so important. Like he's such a judge of the students and like one of those just like quiet figures that oversees and you feel like he knows what's going on even if nobody else does.
Yeah.
And I think it was the idea that he saw something in me that was like, you're a little extra. And maybe he made everybody feel like that. But I was like, it was important to me.
That's awesome. I love that so much. I had a kind of a similar thing with, he would have been my history teacher my sophomore year in AP US history or junior AP US history.
Oh, I loved AP US history.
Man, I got a 4 on the AP test.
Me too.
The proudest I'd ever been. I was so proud
of that 4. Our AP US history teacher used to let me draw political comics of the times that we were studying on the whiteboard chalkboards, and that was always very exciting to me.
Do you remember any of them?
I just remember that my friend Maggie and I thought that the Manifest Destiny lady was such a like funny kind of stupid concept where it's like such a like, come on everybody, and it's like, so I would always draw her like, yay, and then like all the like Native Americans in the wake being like, what is this is awful, like who's she? And I think it was like a little ahead of its time, I will say.
I think that would get published today.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's very, wow. You invented wokeness, Shockey.
Oh yeah, okay. I got a 4, not a 6 on the APUS history test. If you invent wokeness, you get a point above scale.
You get one extra.
And it wasn't me.
It's APUS history, and they were talking about the lead up to World War I, and Archduke Ferdinand gets assassinated by the Black Hand. And I go, Black Hand, did he get frostbite? And that's not particularly funny. But for whatever reason, Coach Anderson thought that was the funniest thing anyone's ever said. And he was like he played football at University of Pittsburgh, and he played in the CFL. And he was one of our football coaches. And he's like 6'8", he's like 300 pounds. And I like saw him like laugh at this really just like the daddest dad joke, and I was like, all right, okay,
it hit him in his soul.
Yeah. It's like I made his conscience laugh more than and it wasn't because I said a funny thing, it was because I was 16 and I said a dumb thing, and that is worth its weight in taffy.
Howard Taffy.
Yeah, so you're in Mr. Plow, he's your guy. You do drama as well?
Yeah, I was interestingly in and out of plays. I did The Wiz my freshman year. I was like background in the chorus.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
The Wiz.
We did have enough Black students to have a pretty respectable showing of The Wiz. Like I remember being like, our Eveline was good, and I almost feel like they brought her in from another school. She was so good. She was around for like 1 year and then gone. She might have been a senior, but she was so like majestic to me that I just remember like just like she would hold court backstage of just talking about like people that we didn't know. And she said like, she was like, oh, my monologue was something that my grandfather wrote. Like she was so cool, and I never saw her again. But I was in the chorus of The Wiz, and then I kind of was like out of plays for a little while, and did senior year. I like came back in for Up the Down Staircase, which was like a laugh-in wall 60s play.
Yeah.
And that character was like the first time that I felt like I could really lean into doing like comedy for a crowd, to where like the parents who came every night would laugh before I said a line by like the last 3 performances. And I was like, oh no, this isn't good for me.
It's all gonna go right to my head. Do you remember one of your big like hit them with the jackhammer lines?
I think I had like, I would do a little like pause before like, what was that? You know, like it wasn't anything, you know, clever. It wasn't anything that would have been on a pop quiz in comedy studies, but it was just the instinct of a woman under the lights.
I tell you what, though, the pop quiz in comedy studies, that man, you want to have read the reading the night before.
I did get us all to take our pants and skirts off for the closing night of everybody who was faculty, who was in the laugh-in wall. We were like, oh, it's no big deal. We'll take our pants off. They can only see our heads, and that'll be really funny. And then there was a rumor that the principal is sitting up high enough that maybe he could see behind, that we were all not wearing pants, but it was like not even a thing. Like no one thought about it but us, but we thought it was very funny.
What do you mean not wearing pants?
Like because we were in the laugh-in wall, like I had on a skirt and like 4 layers of pantyhose. In theater, for whatever reason, it was like too many layers of things. But then the teachers were all wearing slacks, and there was this like freshman or sophomore boy that everybody had a crush on. So they wanted him to take his pants off and see what his boxers looked like. So it was kind of like we're all doing this in solidarity as a fun last prank, but we're also all just like horny high schoolers. We want to see each other without our pants on.
What a bunch of creeps.
That's
right?
ridiculous.
Yeah. I just got the East Lansing High School class of 2005 and 6 roundly canceled if you were in Up the Down Staircase as a faculty member.
You're that Rico. You're done, baby.
He was a faculty, I think. I think he was one of like maybe a principal or something.
Of course he was.
He was probably in support of us taking our pants off.
No one would have been in more of support. Shockey went to high school with one of my very good friends who hosts a podcast.
And middle school.
And middle school, who hosts a podcast called the Episode 420 Podcast, where they watch season 4, episode 20 of a show. Our buddy Rico, he was a very horny young man and a very horny old man. Now,
it happens that way. Sometimes it do be like that.
Sometimes it do, but. You're in high school, you messing around, you fooling around.
I started exclusively dating boys from Hazlitt High School, which was just over a little ways.
Yeah. So fancy.
And it felt fancier than I just felt like none of the guys in East Lansing, I'd been putting out the scoops for a while. I had one boyfriend in middle school for a day.
Yeah.
And it was just when my friend Maggie discovered this guy at Hazlitt who had this beautiful house on Lake Lansing, it was it was over. I met him. I met all his friends. I dated as many of them as I could. I thought I was going to marry every single one of them. Everyone that I've dated for my whole life, I've been certain that I was going to marry, and it's always one at a time. Started in 4th grade with Carlton Smith, and here we are in 107th grade with Marty DeRosa.
Oh my God. I had that same thing in high school too, where I dated this girl who went to Canton High School, which was 2 towns over, but she's a public school girl. Forbidden
Which
fruit.
Side of the tracks is that?
Yeah. I did that because she was a horse, actually. Because we made my horse noises. And she had a tattoo when we were 16, and it was very... Oh. I was like, this is it. I'm going to marry this woman. Dated a little bit in high school, dated my freshman year of college, hardcore. We break up. She cheated on me with a fireman. I can't compete with a fireman. I'm 19 years old.
You're a freshman.
Yeah. I'm a freshman.
You can't even save your own life.
Yeah, exactly. I would have cheated on him too, just to meet a Dalmatian. It would be great. But ended with me starting comedy. But if you would have asked me anytime I dated anyone, high school, college, up until probably 23, 24, I was going to marry that person. Every time.
I never lost it. Every relationship, I'm like, here we go, baby. Strap in for the rest of my life.
This is it.
Which I think is probably tough for some of my exes. I'm so sorry. Anyone who we still got loose ends.
Yeah, hear that?
That covers it.
Oh.
They're all listening to this episode finally, closure. That's what I had 12 years ago.
And I won't email her.
That is the weird... So every time I go back to Minneapolis, maybe for a while, there was a string of 3 or 4 years in a row where every time I went to Minneapolis, a girl that I dated up there would be like, hey, I saw you're back in town. Do you want to get coffee? And Mal's opening for me on these shows in Minneapolis. I'm not going to get coffee. The hey, let's catch up thing from an ex. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't think I would like it very much. We got stuck in a pizza place way back in the day. There was a diner or something, and there was just this couple having the most high maintenance post breakup conversation where it was a lot of and when we got that dog together, you signed a contract to protect that dog's life, and therefore now and forever you will never be freed from these responsibilities. And the guy was like, yeah, and I was like, how do we let it get this far?
Yeah, that is That's no
Marty
good.
and I left and we had like a new lease on life. I felt like we were like holding hands and skipping of like, we love each other.
Everything's great.
And we're
And
not
we have
Also, like, we're never
cats.
getting a
weirdos.
dog. Yeah, like, no dogs.
We have cats that we don't have to do anything to. Yay!
Oh, I tell you what, if only. We had to take Peter to the vet this week because he had a bloody butt.
What?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he's when he doesn't quite get all the poop off, he scrapes it so hard. And the vet was like, he needed his anal glands done. So we did them and he's fine. And next time you need him done, just bring him on back. I was like, cool. But you really find out like your partner in a situation like that. Like Marty's so great at those little minor inconveniences. And it's such a reward when you're with somebody that's like not gonna freak down and like have a meltdown, freak down, meltdown everywhere all over town.
Exactly.
Couldn't have said it better yourself.
Nailed it. Took the words right out of my mouth. From anal gland to freak meltdown, or whatever the fuck you said.
Someone will clip it,
Yeah. That's like,
you.
I think that's kind of how me and Mal work as well, where Mal is great at big picture stuff. And then there's little things where she just like can't do it.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't got it.
Like Mal had never taken her car to get the oil changed before we met.
What?
Yeah, isn't that
Just
nuts?
left-
Yeah, nuts.
Just- oh,
Yeah, crazy. And she was like, I don't know how to do it. And I was like, you don't do anything.
Yeah, it's just
show
not
up.
it's just not a welcoming environment. I get
It's really-
why a lot of times like gals
really
don't want to go. I had to go. My grandpa, I inherited the 87 Audi station wagon as my first car. It was maroon. And my grandpa kept like such a meticulous, like handwritten record of every oil change that I was like, if I don't keep on this legacy, I won't be able to live with myself. So I was like, well, I'll go to the family auto place,
Yeah.
but this is still weird. I don't love it.
Yeah. Both my parents are very much they always think a disaster is about to happen
oh no.
especially with cars. And so they're like, you got to get it winterized. I was like, it is October 12th. We can wait a little bit to get it winterized. But like, it's a mental thing where you got to do a thing, right, guys?
Always plan for the worst.
You
That was one
gotta.
of the characters in the Oregon Trail version I played said that.
Ned. Was it Ned?
It was the pretty lady with the freaking red dress.
So Ned.
Yeah, Ned.
Fantastic. So you're dating these Hazlitt guys.
Yeah, big time.
Cake eaters, Lake Lansingites. That was like when I went to state, that was a big thing. We're like, oh my God, we know someone who lives on Lake Lansing. We can go to the lake.
One of my crushes whipped me out of his speedboat. He was like driving real fast and I just fell out of it and I got a little bit of a black eye and I was like, everyone's going to think I put eyeshadow on just one eye. So I better put eyeshadow on both eyes.
So you punch yourself in the other eye or you put
I just put eyeshadow. It didn't look great. There was, we were trying. I just remember going to church and being like, yeah, I have a little bit of eye makeup on because I'm just trying to even out the slight bruise under this eyebrow from Charlie
geez.
whipping me into the water on accident.
Charlie. Boat culture is so weird though in Michigan to me.
Yeah, no, we only went out on the speedboat and like we might have gone tubing once, but it was like mostly the allure was just being on couches with boys and just watching movies and just flirting and deciding like which guy you liked. If they ever brought a girl that we didn't know over, there was like, oh no, who's that? Like it was just the drama of being young and horny.
Yeah. Boy, like I do miss a little bit of that. Just like, oh, there's these girls from Ladywood. The Ladywood was the all girls Catholic school in our town. Like there's these girls from Ladywood. We can go hang out with them. And it's like, We
it's
can
like
hang
you
out with
didn't know what
them.
you were gonna get. Yeah, or it'd be like, we're gonna watch Donnie Darko, and it's like, oh, the snow's coming down. Should I go over there, or like, should I leave early? Like, there's just so many fun little problems to solve when you're like not quite on your own, but gosh, you want to be.
Yeah. And then, but like now looking back, it's like, yeah, those I'm sure those girls loved watching us watch Anchorman. I'm sure they really enjoyed that. They were really having a nice time.
I really genuinely had such a nice time on all these weird, like, because then you'd meet other people. Like, one of our friends had a hot tub, and then like one of our friends had a big wraparound couch and a pool table. You know, it's like everybody had their share.
Oh yeah, I had bubble hockey in my house.
Wow.
And that was like
what is
my
bubble
big,
hockey?
Oh, it's like foosball but hockey. You know when it's like you can slide the little guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've played that. Yeah, okay.
Which is that's a great gift if you're an only child. Love that.
How do you play by yourself?
You don't.
Palpable sadness.
Yeah.
That's so messed up by your parents.
So dumb.
Well, it was meant to attract friends, but
it was half
just a constant reminder that you don't have friends.
Exactly. It was a monument to loneliness. That's what it was. And eventually my mom would she would use it to dry laundry.
Oh, even better. So fun.
That's even more sad.
Yeah, real bummer. But yeah, we had that. We had our buddy John Fitzpatrick had a above ground pool at his house, and that was huge. And then some girls came over and they said, "Oh, we thought you had a real pool," and that crushed us.
That was
mean. So horrible.
That's
great way to find out that you're
a
poor.
Mean girl. Yeah. Oh, we thought you had a real pool. Well, we're gonna go over to Jason's. He has a real pool and a hot tub.
He has an indoor pool in his house. It's amazing.
You're like, hey, everybody, chill out. I have bubble hockey at my house.
Where are you going?
Don't you want to watch us play N64? Come on, it's gonna be amazing. I did know a kid, for real though. I knew a kid who had an indoor swimming pool at his house.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah. So his grandpa started Domino's Pizza.
Wow. Art Domino,
That's
huh?
cool.
Yeah, it was Art Domino, of course. Art the Domino. He was boy oh boy. He knew about two things. He knew pizza and he knew tabletop games where you got to put a thing down. He was great. Domino's, Mahjong, the whole shot. But no, his grandpa, Tom Monahan, built all of their houses, like and then his cousin's house, and then his other cousin's house. And they all lived in like the middle of like between Ann Arbor and Ipsy, where it's like all farmland. And in the middle of their like little neighborhood that he built for them was their own rec center. So great.
That's wild. But like, what a thing to do to keep everybody around and hanging out.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. It would like, and honestly, of all the things you can do, if you have like, that's crazy money. That's like one of the biggest pizza companies in the world, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I think that's a pretty decent thing to do with your cash.
Yeah. And when I think it's like sometimes Marty and I will talk about like the ideal situation, like having like a workshop and like what kind of little drawers you'd have and what kind of tools, where it's like, yeah, if you can dream big, like, oh, I'd love a place for the whole family to just come be together. It's like, yeah, you make it.
For sure. For sure. They also, this is the crazy thing though. Monahan was a very like crazy Catholic. He built 2 Catholic colleges in Florida. Jeez. And in addition to the rec center, he built his own church on their property.
There's some tax shenanigans going on.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
I was all on board, and then I heard the church.
Yeah, like this year our church made all of Domino's money. What a crazy thing.
Like the Noid isn't paying for all that, you know. Yeah, and he would like one of the priests from the church we went to, the school we went to, would come down once a week and say mass, so they didn't have to be around poor people. Like, they loved it, you know, they had a blast. Great. When you're thinking of going to college, what's going through your mind? Why state? What'd you do at state? Which quality dairy is the best?
My favorite quality dairy is the one over by Rutherford, which is the Lake Lansing on the way one. Because that was the first store that I really adopted as, like, I'm in middle school, I walk to a store, I'm gonna go there and buy ice cream. I bought every quality dairy product on the market. It was that, and Thrifty Treasures was around the corner, which was like a resale shop.
Treasures, of course.
Oh my God. I became friends. The woman who ran it had a granddaughter my age. And so we would all hang out, the three of us. And it was like, I spent all my money at Quality Dairy and Thrifty Treasures. I think part of it
very quickly for Ken, Quality Dairy is a 7-Eleven that's just in Lansing, Michigan. But there's like maybe 15 of them, and they make their own milk. They have their own ice cream. Really fantastic ice cream. Their own donuts, and it's for my money. And I have a lot of money. I don't have Domino's money, but I have DiGiorno's money.
Yeah. You have above ground pool money.
Yeah, it's almost real money.
I looked it up for my mom. Above ground pool is like $325. It's not that much. Guys, we could all have an above ground pool tomorrow if we wanted. I'm just saying. I think all three of us should all go in on an above ground pool together.
I have a pool in my building that's below ground on the 30th floor. I don't need your help.
But imagine if you brought your pool to the pool.
Yeah.
I want pool on pool, and I want the other pool to be oil so that it floats on top of the water pool.
Yeah. It's like and ask Marty about this reference. It's like the kennel from Hell match where there's a cage, and then outside the cage, a bunch of dogs taking shits. It's a good reference if you're a dweeb. But what I was trying to say, Quality Dairy has the best apple cider you can get.
Yes. Quality Dairy apple cider is really good.
It's fantastic.
Gosh, you're bringing back the memories. That was like my stop for a while.
Yeah. Well, and this is real deep in the weeds on Michigan State geography, but the one right by Brody Complex is like, I can picture the smell of being in there.
Yeah, just the smell of the whole Brody region.
Yeah.
It just smelled like cafeteria. All of Brody just smelled like a college cafeteria had escaped, and it was just walking around campus.
Well, I voted for Barack Obama in the Brody cafeteria. Isn't that crazy?
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I voted for him somewhere on campus, and I was reading a copy of Eat, Pray, Love standing in line. What a little turd. Why did anyone let me do these things? That's embarrassing. I remember finishing the book and being like, I'll always remember that I finished Eat, Pray, Love right before I got to vote for Barack Obama. Dork.
That's amazing. Did you see him speak? Did you see him speak on Dem Field? I did.
Because I had moved, I was in, no. I lurked around that day, but I never got close enough. That's very Sarah Shockey narrator type activity to do.
I was in ROTC at the time, and he spoke next to the ROTC building, and he went on a tour of the building, shook his hand on the campaign trail.
Wow. Yeah, I just remember lurking around the area, but not getting too close, standing outside the fire, so to speak.
Yeah. He didn't start the fire. We all know that.
We know that. But yeah, I stayed in East Lansing partly because I knew that I wanted to go to Chicago, and I knew I wanted to do comedy, but I also was like, I don't know how to put this yet. I didn't have a lot of self-confidence or reliance on myself that I would have money or be able to work, even though I'd been holding jobs down. I was a nanny every summer. I was working at Damon's. I got a job part-time. Yeah, Damon's, which became Spartan Hall of Fame Cafe.
Yeah, of course.
That's when I left, but my sister continued on working there for a little while because we had this fun summer. So I stayed in East Lansing because I had friends there. I had a college roommate if I went to East Lansing. Like my best friend and I were just going to like go live in a 4-person dorm. And it was like, I finally felt like I had roots. And so I didn't want to up and go to Chicago yet, but it was like my countdown started where I was like, you better figure out how to get to Chicago if you're not going to go to college in Chicago. And did you
start doing comedy at State, or are you doing anything comedy wise, or just?
So an interesting thing happened. I started dating a guy who went to Hazlitt, but was 10 years older than me.
10 years?
Yeah, Marty's 10 years older than me.
Well, now it's
1977. 1977.
Well, now I think everyone's I think after you hit like 27, everyone's the same age until you're like 50, in my opinion. But
I agree with that.
10 years is huge.
Yeah, it was a big gap.
Yeah.
There were pluses and minuses to the relationship, but one of the pluses was he was really confident in helping recommend next steps for me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it was like I would go to Midland and we would like go to Barnes and Noble and he would like buy me comedy books and I'd be like studying up on it. And eventually it was like, Second City does these intensives. Why don't I go down in the summer, like save up my money and see if I like living in Chicago for 2 weeks? And my parents hooked it up with like family friends who lived in Lake Point Towers. And they just let me stay in a guest room for 2 weeks. They would drive me to IO. Sometimes they'd feed me. Like it was the cushest deal on the planet.
That's amazing.
And I came back to Michigan State and I was like, I'm joining the improv group. I'm going to try to get on the sketch group. I'm going to try to do the TVs. I'm going to be writing. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do this. And eventually that led me to research comedy studies, which led me to be like, okay, I'll save up all these credits and then those will be miscellaneous credits. And I got to teach 2 semesters of comedy and communication before I left State. I somehow weaseled my way into teaching. And I had a section on stand-up, and Marty always makes fun of me because I think I've done all of 15 minutes of stand-up in my life on stage. And some of it happened after my first semester of teaching others how to do
That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, just
those that can't do, teach.
Of course.
Absolutely. Right out of the gate.
Yeah.
At age 20.
What did you tell these people about stand-up?
Oh, just, be honest, tell stories from your real life, plan out jokes, but also riff a little bit. Like, I don't think my advice was bad.
Like, that's not
advice.
Terrible. It's really not.
Just a lot of platitudes about what I thought comedians did. Sometimes, if it serves the joke, tell a lie. I would make them all do stand up, and one of the girls that used to show up with the Hazlitt gang that was like one of our rivals was one of my students, and we had such a like, oh my god, we like each other like time after that semester. So it was just very fun to have like a little bit of a history in Michigan before moving on.
Of course, yeah, but I just love the idea of you. Not only have you never done stand up at this point, you're making other people do it and then grading.
And it was an honors option course, so I had all these little doctors and like engineers.
Oh man!
And I was making them do improv with each other. Like what?
That's great.
Who said that was okay? And the reason I got that was through a connection that I had with the East Lansing School Board, because I ran for the position my junior and senior years of liaison to the school board. Okay. And the only reason I did it was because they would broadcast the school board meetings and I wanted to be on TV.
That's a good early TV credit.
That is so adorable.
Because it was on like that East Lansing channel would just like play. There was an Okemos channel too. I would watch Anything But Ordinary, best sketch show, best teenage drama I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be on TV, and all I had was the school board meetings, and I would sit there like trying to look like, yeah, I'm on television.
That's amazing. That's good for you, man.
I knew what I wanted. I was going after it.
That's awesome. I did everything in such a stupid, hard-headed way when I was in school, because I started doing stand-up when I was 19 and like living in the dorms. And instead of like utilizing all these resources that Michigan State had, or like getting in the sketch team or doing this TV thing.
Did you didn't do the like
None of it.
Comedy contests?
None of it. I just did open mics at clubs with 30-year-old weirdos.
Max Bar?
Oh yeah, I helped run Max Bar.
I used to do Max Bar. We must have Ships in the Night because Gibbings ran it, and Nate Fridson used to do stand-up there.
That was...
And I would do variety.
Oh, of course you did.
I did stand-up like twice, but my improv team would come, and then also I would do like a variety act every now and then, sometimes with a friend, sometimes alone.
Freddie had it like before we did. And then it didn't happen for about 2 years. And then me and a guy named Mark Roebuck, who's still one of my closest friends, and another guy named Dan Curry, who's a friend, but we're not that close. But we ran it for a couple years there, man. That place is... That's another place I can still...
Max Bar has a smell.
I was about to say, that's another place I can still smell, but for completely different reasons.
Yeah. It was very exciting. I remember the guy that ran the comedy club, which I'm blanking on the name.
Oh, it was Connections.
Connections Comedy Club. Frank from Connections.
He showed up exactly like the My Pillow guy, by the way.
He really does.
Yeah.
He showed up to watch us, to try to be this like benevolent, like he wanted to make the next star and like own them at the comedy club. And I remember like I put together like a pilot proposal for like an improvised sitcom. Like I was just always hustling so hard for these people that were just like, okay, like
sure.
I remember he gave me notes about like, yeah, you guys just don't seem like you know what you're doing yet. And I remember being like, well, one day we will, and we'll show you. And it's like, yeah, we need to show him that the world becomes a very different place around March of 2020. Frank, come with me.
Yeah.
I sometimes get paid $50 to do a musical comedy improv show, but not for long.
The only reason your business makes money is because you have a cell tower on your land. 100% true. Man, boy, I could talk about Connections.
It feels good to go back, you know?
It really does. It really does. I had so many, like, man, the second time I ever did stand-up was at Connections. And there are these two really, really, really old ladies who would come to every single Wednesday night show. Because Wednesday night, it was the regular headliner for the weekend and the regular feature and the regular host, but there was also 5 open mic spots. So it would be the host.
Oh, wow.
The host does 10, and then 5 open micers do 3. And then
Mike O'Keefe's.
Yeah. And then the feature does 20 and the headliner does 45. And that all means that the crowd is going to be mostly friends of the open micers. And they're also going to be very drunk and tired by the time the host gets up, because it's also Wednesday and they probably went to work or school or whatever. But I get up there. I'm super nervous. It's my second time ever on stage. And I had some joke. I forget what the joke was, but it started with, you guys ever notice, which is, Shockey, right. You're a stand-up teacher.
I always said, don't start with you guys because it assumes too much, but go on.
But I say, you guys ever notice? And this old woman in the front, after I say that, this is the volume she says it to. I go, you guys ever notice? She goes, no. No, we don't notice.
It's like we don't notice anything. That's a big foundation of who we are. So go on, but no.
I'm blind as a bat.
I mean, that's a great joke right there.
Oh, totally.
No, I don't.
Sorry,
I
don't notice.
I can't relate in advance. Let's
never
get
have,
Frank
never
out
will.
Here.
Can't imagine it. I don't observe. I don't notice. I do any crime you'd like around me. I will not be able to testify. So dumb. Awesome. And then all that happened, and now you're here, and you've been doing the podcast for 6 years now, 5 years. How long?
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be 6 years in March. Yeah, I'd say the short version was I did comedy studies. I got real into improv, got real into sketch, got real into comedy music, and then got real into wrestling and kind of keeping to myself nowadays. But the podcast was such a beautiful thing to come out of all that.
Yeah.
I really feel like I grew up a ton in Michigan, and then I grew up even more in Chicago, you know?
For sure. I'm not saying for sure like that's like I'm agreeing with that's how your life went. I'm saying I had the same exact.
Michael's
I
like,
know,
yeah, you're a
you
big
feel
child
it.
when I met you.
Yeah.
And now?
Yeah. And so, we'll talk about wrestling for a hot second, more your involvement with it. I remember you saying the first wrestling show you ever went to, you commentated.
Much like my teaching comedy.
What the hell? Who was just giving you these opportunities?
Yeah. Like what? It really is.
Whoever
It's a
made that
testament to being
COVID
nice.
party fly away is giving me my opportunity.
Like it's a testament to just showing up and being as nice as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
And someone will let you talk into a microphone. That's all.
It really is. Like, if you generally try to have a good attitude and do your best, people will be nice to you. And it was always through comedy. Like, I was doing improv, and then I got into wrestling, and I tweeted about like, oh gosh, I'd love to try commentating.
Yeah.
And my friend Zach Thompson was like, we actually have a commentary spot that just opened up at Resistance Pro. And I didn't know that this was like Billy Corgan had just left and the company was like completely splintered in half. And like, there's so much politics going on. It was kind of perfect for me to just show up and try calling wrestling.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, like those tapes had better not come out because I was making up move names. I was like that cockiness of like someone who would teach stand-up comedy who had never done it.
Did you like study it before the show?
I showed up and I said, wowie zowie, this is a loud ring and some of these guys look like real business. That was my preparation.
I love it.
But I was told like, you're here to do color commentary and we want you to just say what you think. And as the manager said, if you want to, give a little extra on the guys you think are cute, feel free. And that like weirdly became a core of like how I commentate. And I would say that now I'm a good commentator.
Yes.
I was not when I started.
Yeah.
There's still that little goblin.
I've heard
little goblin.
Sarah Shockey calling a wrestling match is a treat. There's no debate about that. It's there's a lot of fun little nuggets you throw in there. What steps did you take in your own commentary journey or whatever to get yourself from, hey, you're allowed to say that some guy at Resistance Pro is cute to, calling that Orange Cassidy show at Mania a couple of years ago?
Wow, that's a great question. I think part of it was like admitting that I really did want to do commentary as opposed to like, and I think this is a lot of in comedy, like if you say yes to everything, you won't really know what you actually want to do. Yeah. But then at a certain point, AAW asked me to do commentary and I did it a couple times and I was like, holy moly, I really like this. Mm-hmm. And then they were kind of like, cool, we don't need you on commentary. Keep doing your old thing. And I was like, oh no, I really like it now. And so that was just like in the back of my head where I was like back to doing promos backstage, no big deal. But Mikey Blanton, ever since he started Black Label Pro, had been after me to be somehow involved in the company. And more, he was like, we need a commentator. I'd really love to try you out. And like, he was like asking me enough to the point where I started to see more value in myself than I had. And I went and I kind of like checked it out and I wasn't going to take a spot of somebody else. Like I was going to watch and see. And if their commentators they already had seemed like they had a good thing going, but it was just Dave Prazak alone and wrestlers would rotate in and grab the mic and he would just be by himself. And that's what really like made me feel like I have good to offer and I can offer it here in a place where it's needed.
Yeah.
That led to doing the collective, which led to like those last minute changes of like Dave wasn't going to make it from Shimmer, so me and Drew Cordero were commentating together. And then because he had commentated with me when Orange Cassidy got a show, he was like the night before 11 p.m. was like, can you make it to this Orange Cassidy show at 11 a.m. tomorrow? And I just remember like standing in like, I don't know if I was in Brooklyn or Jersey or where I was. I just remember like with my friend Maria being like, can we make this happen? Like, oh my God. And it was just this beautiful opportunity that came out of like just really trying hard for a couple years.
Yeah. Awesome. I think this idea of committing to something and focusing on that, I think is so important. And I think it kind of gets lost in a lot of comedians' lives and a lot of people's lives because of any other outside force, especially now with the pandemic. But there's, to just be able to focus on something like that and get yourself in the position to be successful, I think is admirable. And I think something that, makes someone successful, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, when we talk about it, it sounds a lot more like I had more firm plans, but along the way, any of this stuff, moving to Chicago, getting into wrestling, like it all felt very like rocky and wobbly at the time. But now looking back, I'm like, that was a good path. Like, good job, us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think there's this metaphor that I always go back to. If you're on a cliff and you're looking at a boat coming into the shore, all you're seeing is a boat coming into the shore. You don't know what's going on. You don't know how rocky it is. You don't know that the rigging is happening. You don't know any of that. But if you're on the boat, everything's sloshing every which way. There's a lot of work you got to do. It's not straight at all. And I think that's something that I try and remember, at least in my own life, because I had to go back to school, a couple months ago, and hopefully in a couple years everything will be a little bit clearer now. But I just try to keep reminding myself that hey, it is what it is, and we gotta raise the masts, and we'll see what happens.
We'll get by. Yeah. I think there are forest times, and there are times where I can see like the path I'm going pretty clearly, and then you go into the woods again and you're not sure if you're heading the same direction. Like that's kind of the same metaphor that I use to just be like, okay, but enjoy it, like wherever you are, like try to enjoy it, because it won't ever be that way again.
Of course. And you really get, the forest is great. You find old Playboys out there. It's awesome. Was that a thing in mid-Michigan too, where dudes would just find random boxes of Playboys in the woods?
I remember going to a friend's house and he got out his boxes of Playboys and we all very coolly commented on them. Girl boy party.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Was that a thing in Washington, Ken?
I never went to a boy girl party where people had Playboys out. That's not like a... I think y'all were like young swing.
It only happened once. Yeah. It only happened one time. And I remember being like, how I act at this is going to determine a lot for me. So let's just coolly make some comments as though this isn't rocking my world.
This isn't the most salacious thing I've ever seen. Yeah. But was finding Playboys in the woods, was that a thing in Tacoma, Ken?
There's not a lot of woods in Tacoma. So, but yeah.
What do I know?
There's like area you can go out to like little grass fields or whatever, and like little, there are some like wooded areas, but yeah, for sure, you definitely find like freaking like pornos or like VHS pornos, and usually like you have a friend that has like a shitty parent that buys them porn. So
there was one kid, and we'll get to the quiz very shortly, but there was one kid who had all the Cinemax channels, and that kid became everyone's best friend as soon as we all hit puberty. Like as soon as we all were 12, it was like, we love Nick Schulte. He's the greatest. He's the coolest kid. But there was also the box of porn in my backyard, we found it once and we're like, this is amazing. We can't take this into the house. This needs to stay out here. We go back like the next weekend. We look at the box and there was a fucking rattlesnake in the box on top of the porn.
Wow.
That's God telling you. That is nothing but God telling you the demon here.
Blow your decorations away too.
Yeah. Don't tread on porn, baby.
Dude,
You know,
that's literally a snake that's the devil, dude. It's fucking apple. It's the apple, man.
I haven't looked at porn
the
since.
girl equivalent. We had such a nice thing in, I think it was track, junior, senior year. We all pooled together and bought one of the gals on a team a vibrator because she said she'd never figured out how to have an orgasm. And we were like, come on, girl, you can do it. And then we like bought her that. And then the next day we were like, well, how'd it go? And she was like, I named him Lance Armstrong and he went on a great ride last night. It was very cute.
That's adorable.
I feel like that's much more weird than giving your friends porn. Like that is so much.
We gave our friend an emotional milestone. It happened to be sexual too, but that wasn't the point. It kind of was, but it wasn't. You know, it's not about that, but it is.
I love it. Shockey, a joy as
Give me
always.
my quiz.
Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks
you said
for
a nice
having
thing
me.
before the quiz, though.
Give me my quiz.
So we do a nice quiz at the end here. We'll raise some money for charity. Given Shockey's stature in the world of professional wrestling, a giant among men, the voice of Black Label Pro, we will do a pro wrestling quiz, but like we do every week, we got to give some money to charity. Who are we playing for today, Shockey?
The Center on Halstead, baby, just around the corner. They do great stuff for youths, the elderly, LGBTQ+. I love them.
They're great. That's a place that you guys have raised money for in the past on your show, correct?
Yes. Yeah, we're still donating when we sell the Rainbow Wrestling Heart shirt. Every
Still
now
up
and then
there.
we just dump a donation over there.
We
Lovingly gift a donation.
Yeah.
Where are my words?
Here's a donation.
here's your money.
Now get out of here before I change my mind. Nobody wants me picking their charity.
Not at all. All right. So we got some wrestling questions here. I'm very excited. Regardless of what happens, just know that we usually just give $25 to the charity. So don't worry too much about the answers. Your cred will not be.
I mean, it can be. I get that my cred's always in the balance. Because again, it's like when I'm with Marty, he knows everything that's ever happened in the world of pro wrestling. And that's a high standard. Usually I just settle myself into be like, well, it's a learning opportunity because I can't always be right.
That's the best. That's my favorite thing to say when I'm just dead wrong about something. I'll be like, well, I'm learning. I'm learning. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Who was The Undertaker's first WrestleMania opponent?
You get choices.
Sure, I'll give you some choices. Let me think of some real quick.
I just feel bad that like Marty will probably listen to this and be like, come on. Like he would have had my back on that already.
Okay, so I'll give you 4 and you tell me which one it is.
Okay.
Undertaker's first WrestleMania opponent. Is it A, Hacksaw Jim Duggan? Is it B, the Honky Tonk Man? Is it C, Jimmy Superfly Snuka? Or is it D, the Ultimate Warrior?
I don't know. I do know. I don't know. I'm going to say Ultimate Warrior. I don't know.
Ask Marty the answer.
Hey, Marty. Undertaker's first WrestleMania opponent, please. The Undertaker's first WrestleMania opponent. Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I got it wrong, but I need you. I said the Ultimate Warrior. He said, God damn it, Sarah, they never fought at Mania.
They never did.
I'm learning. This is a great
It's
opportunity.
a great opportunity to
And this is for charity. It's like, what am I doing?
We give the whole money. We give the money every time.
Hey, Marty's gonna stay here, and I'm gonna.
I'll act it out. I won't tell you.
He'll act
Okay.
it out, but he won't tell me.
We'll do charades. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a second camera so the viewing audience can see?
Yeah,
on
Marty,
YouTube.
could you stand behind me so that we can all see? That light keeps going out. I think it might not be as good of a deal as I thought.
Stand behind you.
Yeah.
Just set up a nice shot. You're looking swole, buddy. You look good.
You're looking swole. You look good.
I like it.
Marty has the best nipples in the biz.
He does.
I'll say it to anybody.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's go. Give him a question. He's getting mad.
Who was the first person to become WWE Universal Champion?
First person to become WWE Universal Champion was.
Do I have to give you a clip?
Oh, I was just gonna take your answer.
Oh, my shoulder.
Oh, wait, your shoulder?
My shoulder
Yeah.
got hurt when I won the title.
My shoulder got hurt when I won the title.
My mom was very happy.
My mom
Yeah.
was very
And my
happy.
dad.
And
my
my
The guy-
dad, my
the
biggest
guy who-
fans.
Broke my shoulder's dog is a real jerk. Oh, the dog's nice. The guy's a jerk.
Colonel
No,
Robert Parker.
no. What wrestler does this and his dong's hanging out?
Finn Balor? Oh yeah,
There you
Finn
go.
Balor.
Nice. Finn Balor. There you go.
I'll be honest, my brain shut off when Marty's nips came out. He wants more questions, and I almost yeah.
What
Stay here. I need you.
what former wrestler is Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt's father?
What former wrestler is Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt's father? I'm going to say Erwin R. Shyster. Final answer.
Great job. Good work. Good
You
work.
thought the Great Khali was Erwin R. Shyster.
I saw the Great Khali recently, and I thought it was Erwin R. Shyster.
What?
Just the way his vibe, the general vibe he was putting out. Yeah, Marty said the same thing. Apparently, it was not smart observation.
A guy Marty used to live with used to do a perfect Great Khali impression of him walking because he walked like a Frankenstein.
Yeah, he was very big.
Yeah, and he wouldn't bend his legs at all. But anyway.
Anyway,
We got two more.
Marty wants to know if he's good. There's two more questions. Yeah,
Yeah, two more.
he's feeling it.
Yeah. Which is a very current question. Which former WWE wrestler launched their own Netflix sitcom in April of 2020?
The Big Show.
Yeah. The
It
big
was
job.
about his Netflix show.
Captain Insano?
Captain Insano.
Not Captain. You thought Captain Insano was just a guy.
I thought Captain Insano was just a really well cast guy. This was before I got into wrestling. I was like, wow, what a great role.
And Macho.
And I thought Macho Man was just a Slim Jim guy. And I thought The Rock was just in the Scorpion King. Like I came in at all the wrong doors to everything wrong. My whole life. I'm teaching stand up before I ever do it.
It's an MC Escher painting, just
Yeah.
leading nowhere. What did you think Macho Man was doing? Like
Just being like really charismatic and beating all the other guys that kind of looked like him at the audition.
Yeah.
like that
He
was
was
just a
just a
character
Slim
that
Jim
Slim
guy.
Jim came up with.
Yeah, Slim Jim thought
He
up
was Slim
Macho
Jim.
Man. Yeah, I thought that if you'd
was
asked me,
Slim
I would have
Jim.
said that's Slim Jim. I don't know about Slim, but I like his clothes.
Oh man, I love it. You're just gonna be nuts. Sound good? All right. Here we go. Here's the last one.
Last question.
Center on Halstead. Name one of the wrestlers to win 3 Royal Rumble matches.
One of the wrestlers to win 3 Royal Rumble matches. I would guess Steve Austin.
Yeah. How many are there? There's, I think, Cena, Austin.
Marty says Cena, Austin.
I don't think Hogan won 3.
He doesn't think Hogan won 3.
Maybe 2.
Hogan won 2. But yes,
Hogan
Austin.
won 2.
So close to Austin.
Austin, I got it right.
Cena, Austin.
Who was the other third? Who's the third person?
I only wrote 1 down because you
Oh.
you were
I needed you in the back half. I sure did. In the front half.
I think
Thanks, Marty.
Triple H won 3.
I was gonna say I think Triple H, right? Like
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Not one. Da-da-da.
Stone Cold's interview with Bailey that just came out was a lot of fun to watch. Very nice people.
He is good doing that show that he does.
Yeah, he knows how to talk to people.
He is. He's a very talented man. And fun fact, my mom is sexually attracted to him.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
She's right.
Yeah. I'm trying to so the one of the times I watched Dynamite back home in Michigan, my mom said, and I quote, the one that you're friends with is definitely the cutest.
Aww.
Said that about our friend Cole Cabana. She said,
you know, my mom's a big Colt fan too.
He is catnip to moms.
My mom also was really into Scorpio Sky, and she was mad that Chris Jericho beat him at a match because she didn't feel like it was fair. Scorpio Sky seemed like he was a much better said.
He is
She was like on the cutting edge of social media commentary on that one.
Yeah, your mom could tell that Jericho
Knew what was coming.
Dweebus. Anyway, that's you got them all right in my mind. So that's $25 to the center on Halstead.
Yeah.
Match our donation, send me the receipt, and you will be inducted into the Mike O'Keefe Circle of Admiration. We have our first entrant into the Mike O'Keefe Circle of Admiration. Mary Ellen O'Keefe gave $25 to My Block, My Hood, My City. So thanks to my fantastic mother. Awesome. Shockey, Sarah Shockey, one of my favorites. Thank you so much for doing this. This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. What a chill time we got to have going down the old Michigan lanes.
Oh yeah, going down the original Michigan Avenue. As always, we have to go to the headmaster Ken Hamlett to see the grade that we got today. Kenny, hit me with it.
Today was I learned a lot. Actually, the quiz, I thought I knew something about wrestling. Turns out I know nothing about wrestling. So my childhood was a lie, and I missed out on a lot of information, I guess. The stories, great. I find it, I still just, that struck me oddly that you guys bought another high school student friend vibrator. That
it was all girls. It was like cute.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's weird. If we like all got together and I was like, hey Mike, me and some comic friends got you a pocket pussy. Hope you enjoy this.
But what if he had never come in his life before and you knew that as your guy friends? Like you just want to help him.
That's even more weird. And we were like, hey dude, you never came. So here's this like rubber thing to help that happen. Best of luck, I guess.
We all show our kindness in different ways, you know?
I support any and every way that ladies want to crank
different pals for different gals, you know?
I support it. If you're a gal,
I support it too. But as a high school student,
did you get
we were all like 30-year-olds playing high schoolers. Let's go with that.
I feel like that's like you guys all drinking Merlot and just
it was
like, we're all smoking Virginia Slims being like, can't believe she's never finished one in her life.
You guys, it was the movie Never Been Kissed, but you were all Drew Barrymore.
Yes.
Awesome.
Shockey, very entertaining episode. Very entertaining episode. I give this a solid A-. Hey,
that matches up with my general school grades.
Me too, baby. Me too. 3.7. Here we are. Fantastic. Ken, thanks a lot as always. Shockey, where can the people find you on wherever you want to be found?
At Sarah Joy Shockey on Twitter. Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling on Friday mornings, part of the MLW radio network, and on Tuesday nights I do Twitch on the old PS_Garrick GARAK, my buddy Ben's stream. We play adventure games and goof around.
Oh, that's awesome. I did a Jackbox thing the other night on Twitch, and it was very fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying that as an alternate way to hang out with people.
It's a nice time. And then Ken Hamlett, as always, can be found at bigblackschlongs.com. Is that still correct?
So correct.
Wow. Powerful.
He locked it down. Awesome. Again, thank you so much for doing this. This was a blast. And a big thank you to boy, oh boy, Marty's got to be on the gas, right? He looks like he's on the gas.
Yeah, he's buff, huh? He's just figuring it out. He looks good all the time.
Of course.
On the PDs.
Yeah, baby. He is juicing. Anyway, my name is Mike O'Keefe at the Mike O'Keefe on all this stuff. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. We'll see you in class. But until then, ass dismissed. Cool.